everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/entitled people, where the people are ridiculously entitled, as it says on the tin. If you enjoy, like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts down below. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Entitled teacher hates me for no reason. Tries to teach me an unfair life lesson. This happened to me many years ago when I was 13 and in the 8th grade. I took a theater class, and the first semester, the class was taught by an elderly, kind, and beautifully positive woman. We will call her Mrs. Good, not a real name. I had an A+ in the class, and I enjoyed it. After winter break, I went to class to find a new teacher. Mrs. Good had health issues and wasn't able to finish the school year. The new teacher was younger and tried way too hard to be the cool teacher. The first day of class, she said she taught differently. She graded by groups, and I was put in the group with 3 other people who I knew wouldn't be doing any of the work. I had always been a shy, quiet, good student, bullied for being smart. I was a straight A student and never received a B until my college, years later. Most classes, the new teacher would just talk to us about real life. She would tell us things like, life isn't going to be what you expect it to be. Everybody fails. The new teacher said this on the first day of class. I believe everyone needs to fail once in life. I don't know why, but she looked at me and smiled and said, "Don't you agree?" I replied with, "If they deserve to." Her smile faded and was replaced by a scowl, and she started talking to the class again about how failing is important for character, and everyone needs to struggle to learn how to survive. I was thinking, we are 13-year-olds in a theater class, right? What the heck is she on about? I've got my whole life ahead of me to make mistakes. And from that moment on, she hated me. She routinely berated me in front of the class. She would say things like, "I bet you're the teacher's pet all the time," called me a goody two-shoes, and blamed me for the class not getting to finish watching the Stephen King movie It. Apparently, a student's mom called the principal and said it was giving their kid bad dreams. It wasn't me, but she assumed it was. I just tried to stay in the corner of the class with my head down and out of the line of fire. She even got other kids to pick on me. I was fat, so I was an easy target. She laughed when other kids teased me. She wasn't going to break me, though. I had been bullied all through school. I was used to it, just not coming from an adult that was supposed to be teaching me. I survived the class and new teacher. Or at least I thought I did until I got my report card. Straight A's except for theater. She gave me a C-. I was terrified to show my mom. She expected straight A's. My mom is the kindest and most loving woman, but she expected good grades because I was a good student. She picked me up, and the first thing she asked for was my report card. I'd never gotten a B before, so I don't know how she would react. It wasn't pretty. She asked why I was doing so badly in that class, and how could I have such good grades at all the rest of my classes? The thing that hurt the most was the disappointment in her voice. I began to cry and told her the new teacher didn't like me, and I did all of my work, so I didn't know, and she didn't believe me. She parked her car and made me walk to her theater class, crying so she could speak to the new teacher. I sat outside the classroom and listened through sobs. New teacher told my mom that she graded in groups, and even though I did my work, my group brought the grade down. I've never heard my mom angry like that. She told her that that wasn't fair and had some other choice words for the new teacher, and then stormed out and we left. My mom ended up speaking to the principal, and they made new teacher hand over all my work with A's. And they reviewed all my other classes' grades and talked to the other teachers who vouched for me, being a good student. New teacher was forced to change my grade to an A, and she had to change other students' grades too. Well, apparently so. My mom was a badass in my eyes from then on. I never saw that teacher at the school after that year, and I never took another theater class again. Speak to us, your parents, or we'll call in a threat in person. Okay then. We have a person who works at our office. Let's call her Kathy. Kathy started working with us about a year ago. Very relaxed and easy to get on with. She's a very good worker. Excellent attention to detail, but didn't really talk much about her personal life. Some days she can go by without saying a word to anyone. I always assumed it was because in our office we're mostly all on the spectrum, autism, and she always talks without looking at the person she was speaking with, generally looking at the ground. One day, around 7 to 8 months ago, her parents, a while ago, randomly showed up in our lobby, demanded, if not screaming, to speak to her. They appeared drunk and were trespassed. She went home for the rest of the day, as it clearly must have taken some time for her parents to track her down to actually find where she worked. She was really paranoid about social media, or pictures of her being taken. We didn't fully comprehend it until one particular incident. What I previously couldn't wrap my head around is why parents would go out of their way to get their own daughter in problems at work, and show up and demand they talk to her. Our team didn't want to pry, but she told us on growing up that her parents were alcoholics and she was mostly left at home to fend for herself. At least that was the gist of it. We knew the dad was a bit of a hothead, so our team collectively agreed if they showed up, we would call security. The company was very on her side, but we could tell there was a lot more to it. They are currently banned from the building. She has enough to get them trespassed, and this went into effect about 3 months ago, and nobody was any the wiser, until the fateful day of the incident. And here's the incident. We were all working in one of the main wings of our building when a general security alert is raised that someone is on the premises that shouldn't be. This is normally fine, as we work very close to a public park with a footpath, and there's no fence, so 9 out of 10 they don't know that they've entered private property, or that they generally can't be there. Now, we are not a governmental facility, but we do deal with government systems when they apply to ERP, large-scale, high-end systems that require support. I don't work on those teams, but they do exist within our building, so our security is geared for that level of response should we need it. Generally, we pay security to go to the gym and look mean for the most part. Now, to explain, there is 2 sets of doors and a badge turnstile to get into our part of the building. A man trap. Not exactly the most secure, but you can get through if your card is authorized. By policy, we can't swipe for another person, as they need to go to the security desk. Our security team, 99% of the time, looks bored, and is a mixture of ex-military types. Mostly, they are down to earth, and will speak to anyone or helpfully do jobs given in the office, even if it's not security, like pick up a package from reception, or deliver it to a person, chase the post office, etc. On one side of our office, from our full glass window, you can see the public footpath, and the other one side overlooked our main car park, which was our main entrance and exit. Around that time, we noticed that the alert hasn't passed, and security is rushing to our door from the inside. All we hear from the security radio team is, "Breach! Breach!" with security rushing over us to advise to take down the fire exit. Basically, someone was there who definitely shouldn't be there, and wouldn't leave, and was now trying to get into our winged door. At this point, we all huddled together towards the back, and got ready to get to the fire exit, end of the wing with a dedicated set of stairs leading down to the public footpath that ran near our building. However, security closed the door from us and asked us to stay put. Okay, there's a crazy. Let's not panic about it. We stay up here and then we should be good until the police arrive. Well, first we see a protection civil car show up in our car park. Generally, these are called if the situation is minor and there's no need for any intervention. My thought is, at this moment, is someone's just lost and probably doesn't speak the language downstairs. They can double as tourist police. At this point, we don't know where this person is, as they seem to be moving around, followed by the radio chatter. Persona uno en panta cero. Persona uno entra plaza. Followed by English. Am I authorized to drop this sack of poo? But between that, could be main reception on our floor. Reception that day is a former soldier, who didn't always get along with, but not for the type of person you want to get upset. A few minutes later, we hear on the security radio, blue 1, red 1, black, which seemed to cause security on our floor to flip the nearest tables to our doors. Laptops, screens, you name it, to our main door to block the entrance to our wing. At this point, we're all very concerned. A makeshift barricade, clearly an overreaction. What the heck is going on? Secure 1, secure 2, secure 3. Guessing this was for our floors, followed by Lockdown Wing West, our location. And this apparently means we can't use the fire exits. We then watch as local police and then national police race through our car park, with blue lights flashing to our building. Oh, now this is getting a bit concerning. They rush into our building, but we can't see what is happening downstairs, due to the angle from our windows not matching up to the main entrance. We see what looks like all of site security rushing downstairs, running to outside our entrance. We all wait another few minutes with black being declared, and that we should let police into all wings, effective immediately. Now, my understanding of Spanish isn't the best at times. Our security team immediately goes to Kathy. I think at that moment, we knew who was downstairs. It was her dad. He couldn't have caused that much trouble. Most of our security team knows how to handle themselves. Maybe he's just trying to speak to Kathy again. Nope, I was completely wrong. In the meantime, we see Kathy start crying in our car park. We see Guardia Civil. Very, very bad sign. Full blue lights flashing, and what looks to be a massive truck. We didn't know it at the time, but that's a specialized fire truck. Kathy, upon seeing this, is an emotional wreck to the point I've never seen anything like this ever. All we hear is, "He's doing it again. He's doing it again." We try to console her, but we've clearly lost the capability. Security manages to get her moving to the toilets on our floor to clean herself up. We hear screaming and shouting outside our main door to our wing, behind the turnstile, shouting her name. There was screaming back from Kathy. Let me tell you, none of the conversation was pleasant. Followed by Policia, Guardia Civil, and then Bomberos, Fire Brigade. What the hell? Is the fire brigade beating up the guy? Now, the passage of time at this point was confusing. I couldn't tell you if it was more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 3 to 4 hours. All I know is by the time things have calmed down, it was getting dark outside. We finally get out of the wing, and we're told to avoid the main area. We see some blood in a far-off distance. Kathy gets escorted out of the fire exit. A few security and police opt to go with Kathy. Here is the aftermath. Her drunk dad, after getting criminal trespass and also restraining order and a foreign protection order for good measure, decided it was now a very good idea, whilst drunk, to drive to our office to speak to Kathy about breaking up the family and tell everyone on our main desk it was her fault. Everything was her fault. Him being a drunk, his wife being a drug, her mother's family wanting nothing to do with them. The JFK assassination was her fault. The fake moon landing was her fault. You get the idea. Now, security asked him to leave. This high IQ, level 100 genius, called in a threat in person whilst in the very same building. He gave security the idea that he had a trap planned for her. In that situation, they asked him what he was planning, and made out that it would be very big. You can tell where this is going. Security, by design, locked down the building and had to clear every entrance and exit of any potential impossible threat. This turned into a nothing burger because no such threat existed. Just his drunk ass thought it would be a brilliant idea, akin to Albert Einstein level thinking. Naturally, this was called into police. He then proceeded to try to assault the police officers. Acting on the information they knew, he had an exceptional long history of violence and being arrested. We didn't know this. And the police were looking for evidence to put him down for a long time. Frankly, even the police hated dealing with him. Generally, when the office responders to your name, upon seeing you, you're doing something wrong. Most, if not all of us in the office tried to start talking to Kathy more. We didn't know how to deal with this to start with, but we eventually did open up to her and her to us. From her telling of her childhood reduced me to tears. There was no food in the house, and she had to ensure her siblings were fed, to the point of stealing until she was old enough to work as a child. The reason she was good at her job was because of her about 10 years of experience ahead of us. And that's what made her money to feed her younger sisters. She dropped out of school and looked after them, making sure they were fed before her. I struggled with this because I couldn't imagine living through it. To put a child through that and expect them to be cordial, I will never understand. The parent, he is in prison, and her supposed mother blames her for him being arrested. Apparently they are wanting to speak to her about money, of all things, and this was done at the request of her mother. We look after Kathy a lot more and invite her out. She has opened up with us a lot more and talks to us more. One thing that she does is she has a fear of abandonment. We try to work through it. Even if a few minutes late, we understand. We try to make sure she's included in everything we do. The lives some people live, and she's one of the good ones. Except her parents. Fuck them in particular.